And welcome to a wonderful Saturday of shuffling servers and fun stuff like that. I had plans to make other videos or something. I always get those plans. I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this. And I'm like, I have all these little things adding up. So I figured I'll start doing them. And then the little things turn into more things and more things because shuffling all the data around for servers takes always more time than you would expect. Like I have everything backed up and I'm like, oh, I got to move this. And well, while I'm at it, I've been wanting to do this. And then I should probably rearrange how this works. And that's turned into a whole lot of this, that, and the others. And it's been fun. And now I'm moving Sync Thing and my TrueNAS servers. So yeah, now it's like even more things to move. And I figured I'll do some of this just live here with all of you because why not? That's definitely a fun way to do it. I was just at a hacking thing. Pull that picture up first. This was pretty fun. And pull it up right here. I mentioned I was going the other day, and then I went. So, and it was the MySec event. So Michigan Security, it's a group, and they got a few chapters here in Michigan and some meetups. And I need to make a more conscious effort to attend more of the meetups just to get out and meet more people in the tech space in the physical world, not just online. They have, they're only once a month meetup, 12 times a year. I think I can leave and go, meet there. So, but I did that and we ended up doing, and I posted this on Twitter. This was actually pretty cool because I wasn't going to do the CTF. This is not something I usually do, but we ended up doing the CTF. And we, as in Jason Slagle, president of CNWR, he killed it, man. So although we were on a team together and our friend Ed, who was there, helped out as well, Jason really carried the team. And we're actually shocked. And we came in second place. And we're like, our specialty is not cybersecurity. Like we dabble in cybersecurity because it's something we enjoy and we should have a good understanding of. But, technically we're more on like blue team defense, managing servers and things like that. So scoring at a really good score of 125 points. And yeah, we did good. We did really good. Should say Jason did really good. I managed to solve a few of them. I got some steganography ones. I got one of them because it was stupid. I didn't solve it the right way. I wish I would have saved the file because I would have they shut it down. I didn't realize they're going to turn it off right away, or would have saved some of the files. It would have been kind of fun to show you how I solved some of them because I did it in the dumbest way possible, but it worked. So it didn't matter. I still got the flag. Like someone was like, you could use image magic to turn that over and you could do this, or you could output it this way. And I grabbed my laptop and I just turned it on its side and I said, I can read it now. And that was one of the flags. I just turned my laptop sideways to read some of the stuff. It was all ASCII 2 and it was a pattern. And I just resized the window until the pattern lined up. You're supposed to try to align the pattern. I was like, actually, if I dump it if I dump it in terminal and drag it over, I can read it and turn my laptop sideways, which of course, made people laugh. But fun stuff nonetheless. It was a good time. Always good hanging out with the hacker community. It is a better vibe than the business community. I've made a lot of good friends in the business community, and I do enjoy events like IT Nation that I was just at, but the hacker community definitely, you come in there to something like a CTF. So she like me, I'm an amateur, not good at it. I just don't really, those always are things I puzzle with, which is going to be like puzzle problems like that. I just struggle with these weird kind of off the wall puzzles when you're, hiding stuff. And I get it. It's a lot of just brain teasers, if you will. And it was fun though. And the help I got, just questions of how to approach things or how I might think about something. And it was definitely, it was cool because the immediate help you get from the people running it, from other people that just are hanging out there and, helping you find really obvious things. It was just really cool. So it was like really good. Speaking of UniFi, do you have a video tutorial on how to disable or block all calling home right now? I just block internet access with a firewall rule. If you're worried about any of the UniFi stuff, phoning home, if you will, yeah, just firewall rules. There's no other way I know of to do it other than to put a rule in your firewall that says it can't do that. I don't know another way around that. So that it's sometimes that simple. I think I did a video 2 or 3 years ago talking about the phone home problem that UniFi had set up. I don't know what I haven't looked in a long time to see what they do. I just told it not to phone home anymore. So with firewall rule, stopped it from phoning home. Something else I've been slowly working on. I've never really done any of these dashboards, and this one's kind of cool. Oh, what's in the glass? Gentleman Jack. But this is Homar, Homaar, Homar. I think that's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong. But I've been building the dashboard to start laying out all the stuff in some of the lab. This is only a small piece of some of the services we have running. And I might build this out because I just set everything in bookmarks and I memorize all the IP addresses. So I don't think about it very often, but I realize that's not how everybody works. And so as we're rebuilding the lab, that's the project over the next 30 days, it's going to happen. I'm rebuilding, and this was some of the mess I had talked about. I just posted this mess on Twitter, and I started taking everything apart in my studio and moving it all around, and I got more servers, and they're just kind of everywhere because I didn't feel like walking over, or it's driving. It's like a mile away from my house to go to my office. So I go over there and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like working over there. I'll just work over here. And then, yeah, it's just a lot of stuff to do. No SSL on this. Was that the question? No SSL? I have a reverse proxy I use when I want to set SSL up. So no, but I don't bother with all my servers. I don't care enough. I'm only in them for YouTube demos. Most of the stuff is kind of set it and forget it. So I don't really care to put a reverse proxy on every web interface for everything I run. I don't know. I don't know the need for it. Like I do it as a demo, but overall it's like, yeah, I just go through and, all these are just IP addresses for all the things in here that are in Homar. The Synology, like it's not often I even go into this Synology. Like I only go in here when there's something to do. If there's a setting I want to change or something like that, then I never log in. I'm in here more for YouTube demos than anything else. How many Synologies do you need? Oh, I have more. I don't even have them all on here yet. I got a few. We have a lot of stuff in our lab because we actually build out demos for things. And this is how you figure out how everything works. You make sure you got enough stuff available to you that you can go through and test scenarios, or a customer has a question like, hey, I can build this out in some way. Actually, I didn't even look. I was updating one of them. Let me see if this one, I don't even know. I assume it finished updating. I haven't logged in. Oh, update now. I forgot. I downloaded the update for this one. We'll update this one while we're live on the air. So we'll update now. This just came out the other day. This is one of the lab ones, so I didn't load it right away. How many internet connections for redundancy? 2. I don't need more than 2. I mean, I can't think of. It's not like a data center I'm running here. It's a lab. And matter of fact, there's actually, I guess it's redundant, but I think I have some forced routes. So I'm using Wide Open West at my house for internet. They're an internet provider here in Michigan. We also have a backup with Comcast, but I don't have a backup with Comcast at my house. So I have to make sure it doesn't, to I get the fastest speed, I actually have it going from WoW to WoW. So we have Wide Open West as a primary connection with Comcast as a backup at the office. So I have them synchronized with my VPN and WireGuard. But I don't think my WireGuard VPN fails over, but I'd lose access to my lab if the internet went down. Okay, it doesn't bother me enough to fix it. 5G home? No, not really worth it. I mean, I have my phone. I could do a hotspot on my phone if I had to. Like, that's my simple solution. I could do a hotspot on my phone. My office is a mile away with dual internet connections. But it's kind of one of those, if you're playing the game, so to speak, of how much money should I spend on this? Well, that's a good question, because I have lost internet probably an hour cumulatively in the last 2 years or 3 years. It's so minor. I can only think of one time, and it was a major outage that Wide Open West had. Like, those major outages are the only couple times I lost, like when they were in the news because something went horribly wrong. So I went outside instead. I was like, I don't have no internet. That sucks. If I had to do some calls, if I had to do some consulting stuff, I'll go to the office where we have dual connections. I can go to somewhere. But it's actually, the outages so far have never even interfered with a meeting. So USB tethering to a WAN on pfSense. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Yeah, if you live out somewhere rural, that's definitely a whole nother problem. For me, it's just as simple as I'll grab my phone and hotspot my phone. And I can usually do enough things for my phone, or I'll tether my phone to my laptop. If I tether my phone to the pfSense or hotspot that, I'd have to try and limit all the connections, all the Chromecasts in the house. Like, I could split it all up, do a bunch of policy routing, but I connect to my laptop to my hotspot if I need it. So I have enough services running at home. When the internet goes out, I normally don't mind. If I need to, I can just go hotspot the phone, use laptop. Yeah. Once you start running your own media servers, you might not even notice that the internet went out. So, once you've configured all the transmission to make sure you have all your ISOs that you need and to reinstall your Linux distributions. Yeah, and I got to add my MB server. I'm going to build this one right now. I'm building this for my lab, but I'm going to build the same thing for the office lab. But yeah, technically it's Saturday Night Live. You're not wrong. Last time I did a DSM update on my Synology device, it removed everything from my home user directory. That's interesting. I hope that doesn't happen. All the updates I've done have gone extremely smooth. I mean, I've been using some of these devices since they started in version 6 when I got them, and I've just continually upgraded them, and they've just worked perfectly fine. This is the Homar dashboard. Homar, I think is how I'm going to pronounce it. It's HOMAAR, I think is how that's said. I'll drop a link in for people. Homar. I think that's what. Hold on. Now I'm confused. I got to get the right link for it. ARR. There's 2 R's. That's why I got it wrong. There we go. Because there's the Homar dashboard and the Homar dashboard. So this is, I'll put this link up there. It is HOMARR.dev. So that's, I've been liking this one. It seemed to be the least complicated, and I'm actually running this in a TrueNAS. So we'll actually switch over to that tab. Pull this up. So it's this is an app available. So if you go to the Discover Apps, and Homar is a sleek, modern dashboard. I make the words a little bigger. But it works fine. It's really simple. I haven't had any problems with it. It's just so easy to use. With the old Linux server unified Docker deprecation, I'm still planning on what to do next. Yeah, I don't I don't know. I'm not big on running the UniFi and Docker. I just run it. It's not hard to install. I did a video recently on how to set up the UniFi controller. It's just not hard to install. So it's like I just don't bother with Docker with that. Although I will admit the new where did it go? The new UniFi does look nice. I've been testing this. I got to set a couple things up on it, but the new port manager, the new VLAN stuff, it looks pretty cool. They're doing some nice stuff with it here. Do I have any idea why shadowless fail when I update DNSPL settings? I don't know. Look through the error messages. Then post. They have a support forum in Reddit where you can post if there's a problem with them. You always went back to homepage. Yeah. The UniFi installer scripts from I can't remember the person's name, but he's one of the employees of UniFi, and they write one of the scripts to install it. Yep, it'll do the installations and the upgrades. Glen R. Yep, the Glen R install script. I switched to switched my XO from Docker to the installer script. I think I like it better. Lower RAM footprint plus file restore working. Yeah. Yep. The Glen R UniFi scripts. Look those up. You'll find them. They're definitely very helpful for doing the install. It looks like this is done. It's my lab one, so I'm going to skip the 2FA. I'll deal with that later. Cool. It's all up to date. That was pain-free. Yeah, these Synologies are just solid. They work so well. Been really happy with them. Missing community in front. What lab one you have 60 of them? And these are all spread across, like this one's remote. This one's, some things are at my studio / house where I have some things. The majority of this stuff that I do is all at, the majority of this stuff is actually at the office. This is where a lot of this lab stuff lives. That way I can go in here and test things out. Do I have a Proxmox for testing reasons? I loaded one today. Close some of these tabs. And I forgot the IP address of it now. Hold on. I built one today because I just wanted to test if some tools worked. Is it 144? There we go. And I gotta remember the username. Yeah, cool. So yes, I have a Proxmox running right here. I'm not as big on the Proxmox. I don't know. I'm just used to the XCP-ng interface, but I wanted to try it because one of the reviews I'm doing of some hardware, one piece of hardware Proxmox would not run on, and another one it would. Now, people had a bunch of suggestions, and it's Linux. I know how to hack away at it and figure it out. I was just annoyed of it not working out of the box. Proxmox and this seems to be a complaint that I've seen from people, and this is just me reading the peripheral. I don't use Proxmox day to day, so I can't answer this. But I've seen a lot of people complaining about Proxmox 8 having a problem with network cards, like network cards being out of order. I've seen this pop up a lot. I don't really know much about it in terms of like troubleshooting it, but it's all Linux underneath, so it shouldn't have this many problems, but I don't know. Seems to be kind of buggy. I certainly have experienced the bugs. It didn't like the Intel 226. That's the challenge I had. Like this system has Realtek cards, works fine. VLANs work fine, and the testing I did all, no problems with it. But the 226 drivers didn't on a. It was actually a Ryzen system I have. Couldn't get Proxmox working with them. It gets an IP address and won't route traffic. And someone's like, oh, there's an update for it, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is when you can't get updates on it because it's disconnected, you got to set up an offline repository, copy all the files over. And I'm like, I just don't feel like doing it. Like I know how to do it. This is not a task I can't do. It's a task I'm too lazy to do. Because I just want to basically, I'm going to tell people, you can get Proxmox working, but you're going to have to go through steps. When I have a few pieces of hardware I'm going to review, and I've been trying to test Proxmox on them and XCP-ng because I know there's going to be questions people ask. And that way I can say, hey, these work, or it doesn't work, or what you need to do. So let's see. Let's see. I know there's a lot of people like Proxmox. Yeah, I looked at Proxmox too, and I feel the same way. Like comparatively speaking, switching back to XCP-ng is just easier to me, especially like the way you do VLANs and stuff. I don't know. It feels a little bit clunkier in here. Like when I'm, I don't know. It's just me not knowing it as well. I will completely capitulate to that going, yeah, I'm just less familiar with it. So I go here and I know I can change the network interface. I got no VLAN on there, but if I want to put a VLAN tag, I go 1-3. This is a valid VLAN tag. I type it in, I hit OK. I get it. It's easy enough to do. Edit the memory. We can change the memory on it. Can you change memory on the fly? What happens when we do this? Cool. All right. Now, if we go back into do we get more memory? How much memory does it think we have now? I guess I got to reboot it. See, it still only thinks it has 2. So I guess, does Proxmox dynamically expand? Let's reboot this. Oh, wait, we should probably do it through the machine here. Let's restart. If I restart, do I have more RAM? Let's find out. The web GUI in XO is so much more polished. It's actually, the web GUI in it's not just more polished. It gives me a lot more flexibility at scale over all the VMs. That's the big thing I notice is there's just a lot of flexibility I get that I don't feel like I have in here. It feels like I could still manage things, but when you want to manage a lot of things, see, still nothing. So let's go ahead and shut down. Look at the hardware. All right, it's at 4 gigs. Okay, so it applies it when you start and stop the VM. That's fine. I know that now. But one of the things is, if we go here to our PVE, where's the storage? Or is at the data center level? Storage. So I can edit the storage. I don't know. I got to play with it. ZFS over iSCSI, NFS. I don't have an NFS server handy right now. But one of the things I want to point out And let's go here. Ran into some weird things during XCP in my testing, but the interface better for sure. I wish open box on-box interface was better when having a single node. You think it's weird too? Okay. You think the VLANs are strange too? We can go with that. Got to restart for hardware changes. That's why it's the amber color. All right. Let's try this. So let's give an example in here. Let's fire this system up. I don't know. I like, and I can't wait. Their new UI is amazing. Like their enhancements they're doing for the new version of this. Once this jumps up to the new version, it's going to blow. It's going to be that much better than what it is already. So here's my lab system that I'm running right here, running Debian 12. One of the things I want to point out here, and we'll actually do a memory increase as well. So we can go in here and I think about what the username is for this. Oh, I want it pretty. Sure. I want NeoFetch in here because it looks cooler. And then what all the kids are doing these days in Linux, you install some fancy system and you run NeoFetch so you can look cool. I want to be the same. There we go. So right now we can see that the NeoFetch shows, scroll down a little bit, the 4 gigs of RAM down here. Matter of fact, I can just actually run htop on this too. Whoops. What? Htop not found. Well, we can fix that. Sure, let's throw some htop in here. And I've done a video on this as a topic already. So I'm covering it here because why not? We're sitting in a live stream. But you can see right here, you can see the memory in it. So we have the 3 gigs of memory. We can go over here. Oh, so I did not turn on, you do have to turn on dynamic memory to do it on the fly in here. So I'll show that. You can change it on the fly back and forth. Is there a dynamic memory option where you can do that inside of Proxmox? I'm not as sure on that. I had done some networking stuff, VLANs for ESXi. It works so much easier in XCP-ng. Yeah, VLANs are really simple. XCP-ng is the base for a private cloud service. Yours and a lot of other people too. Oh, you prefer BTOP? We can load BTOP on this. That's definitely an option. BTOP is cool. Forgot to say please. There we go. Much prettier, right? BTOP is nicer. I mean, we got colors. We'll stop this one real quick here. What do we got here? So the way you do dynamic memory, and I've dove into, you can actually do dynamic CPUs as well. But you can set the limits here for things. So we have the min max. So we'll set this with a max of 8 gigs of RAM, but it currently for the actually we'll set this one too. There we go. 8. That's what I meant. I wanted the dynamic set. So let's go over here. Now we still only have, we have 8 right now. So we'll shrink it because you can shrink memory too. That's a fun job. So LTS, password, and btop. And we can see, where's the memory at? I don't use btop as much. I'm trying to, okay, 8 gigs right here. We can go switch it to 4. While it's doing its magic, there goes the RAM. We've just shrunk it down. You can do that dynamically in here. It's a cool feature. You got to enable hot plug memory under the VM options. Okay. Yeah, btop is really neat. There's a couple other tools for, I should cover them again. My videos that are old don't get much love, and they're not good either. I could do a better job of them. But one btop, I could cover like some of the Linux utilities for troubleshooting things that would that have nice little, terminal based UIs like this that are nice. Because another one that's kind of neat is Glances. Is that installed through there? I was looking at that one too. Yeah, let's hold on. I don't want to muddy up this machine. These are supposed to be my cleaner lab machines. So let me stop this lab machine. Actually, we're just going to force shutdown because I want to actually revert this before we loaded anything. So we're just going to revert. There, we reverted this VM back to a less crappy state. You'd watch that video? Yeah. Well, we'll just play around with a few of them now, but I don't want to muddy up this with a bunch of crap in it. So what we're going to do is revert this VM. By the way, the VM snapshots, if you didn't notice, brought the RAM back. So when you snapshot a VM in XCP-ng, it's not just the VM you're snapshotting, it's all the settings that you may have changed. So if you've messed with any settings in here, you're actually reverting back all of the settings at the same time. So any changes you made or any of that is all getting reverted back at the same time when you do this. What I want to do those before I do this is why don't I have it? This keyboard is not the greatest. It's got a couple sticky keys. This is not the keyboard I usually type with. This is the keyboard I type with for demos. I have my other keyboard over here. I have 2 keyboards connected to one computer. So let's see if that works. We'll see if there's any packages. All right, no packages to update. So this is one of the things you can do in this Debian 12 lab. So let's go ahead and clone it. There's the clone, and we'll just name this one YouTube. Daemon. Well, you know what? There we go. Now we spelled it right. So this is the YouTube demo. Actually, we'll say live stream demo. And by the way, one of the things, I don't know if you can do this in Proxmox. I should test this right now. Let's find, where did my Proxmox instance go? Share this tab. Can you rename? How do you rename things in here? Here's a summary. Point to where you rename things in here. I can put tags on it. I can't use emojis though. Where do you change? Can you change the name once these are created? Convert to template, stop, shut down, hibernate. Huh. Well, weird. Well, the thing you can do here, we'll go back over to XCP-ng, and some of you may have noticed this already. You can put emojis. If you look at my even my production ones, I've got emojis in all my descriptions because I think it's fun. So you can absolutely do this. It's completely easy and possible to do. And I think it looks cool. I know it's silly, but I like doing this stuff. Back over to what we were doing. Matter of fact, hold on, let me hide the screen because I think it shows my email. Well, I don't know if I'm emailed in on this one. Let's move over to a different server. Cool. This one's not got my email on it. I don't use my email with this one. I have different emails for a lot of different things. That way I know where notices come from. But we can go back over here, and that Debian12 is right here. Now we can fire this one up and play with some of those tools I was going to talk about. I want to look at glances again. I remember that one being pretty cool. But forking stuff is really easy to either make a copy or a fork or a clone. So you can just keep duplicating these. You know, it's kind of an arbitrary but easy thing to do. Somewhere in here, and I don't care that you see this. This is a lab system with no external access. I can roll my code later. I didn't even know I had a code on this one because this is completely just a lab system. But hey, I do. You now have my TOTP, which I don't care much about. We'll tag this one for YouTube, and then we'll find that one. Because we have tags in here too. Now when we click home, yay. Oh, there's my demo lab too for that. So you guys can, yeah, I think I definitely showed my 2FA. I don't care. I'm completely not worried about it. Matter of fact, the 2FA for this one is stored in my Bitwarden. So I can just turn it off. I'm completely not worried about it. Because this is all in a, this is all just, this gets rebuilt a lot. There's a reason there's so many XOAs. I experiment with a lot of things. I was experimenting even the fact that I have 2FA on this. Our production stuff's different. That is why I switched away to the lab, because I will accidentally share things. So I know I will not be able to help myself in a live stream because there's no editing going on. And so we switched to lab environments for this stuff. So that's why I have so many instances of everything. Does your company offer support for XCP in production environments? Yes, we do a lot of that. We've helped some large companies build out XCP-ng infrastructure. That is definitely a thing. But now let's log in here. Let's install glances on this one. It was a lot to install with this. Which I remember, I think this is one of the other ones I want to do a video on because I thought it was cool. There's kind of a lot going on, but it's also a pretty neat tool for seeing what's going on with this system. Load all the things. One nice thing is these hosts are super fast. They're what are they? These are Ryzen 9s, 12 cores. So they're, for this lab stuff I do, they're just great. I've got 3 of them. Yeah, so this is glances. It'll give you a decent amount of information, but it's actually got some. Someone was doing a demo on it, and I thought it was kind of novel. A write-up I read, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But you can tie glances instances together. That was, if I remember right, that's one of the things you can do that made me interested in it. Do you have one with a Windows 11 VM? No. I don't really have a need for Exo Store, so I haven't tested it. I'll wait till it's out of beta. I just don't care enough. I'm not I mean, I'll use hyperconverged if it's needed, but it's not needed for most of what I do. Yeah, I still think BTOP look prettier than glances. So the ones so if we go back and to apt-get, BTOP so far is the prettiest one we've seen. But you know, I'm not like right now, if I want to just move this to somewhere else, it's like even without hyperconverged, I can just take and migrate the storage wherever I want. So it's not really been a huge deal for me to do this. Like I can take this, move it local, move it here. I don't know. It's not been something I've had some big need for, so I'm not too worried about it. I'll wait till it's out of beta. People ask a lot of questions about it, so multi-tenant environments, it's not like it's designed. It does have permissions for the users, but that's not it's not supposed to be a hosting platform where you give users access to XCP-ng. You can, but I wouldn't have strangers in there. You definitely want people who are like from your company. So it has a user management system, so your staff can be delegated permissions and assign permissions to different things, but this isn't like the interface you give to the public to build a hosting environment. Yeah, I've done a video on it before. I've done like a basic rules for pfSense. I was going to just do a 2023 or 2024 edition of it. But my old video is still relevant on it. Everything you're looking for is Proxmox is under options for hot plug memory CPU. Okay. So under Proxmox, like I said, I completely say it's just I probably don't know where things are. I just got to find where the options are for hot plug. That's the challenge too. People always ask why I don't do a bunch of videos on everything. It's at some point you're like, well, how many can you do? Like there's only so many things that you can find the time for. And I don't use Proxmox in production, but we have a lot of businesses using XCP-ng. So that makes a big difference. Edit. Okay. Memory CPU hot plugs. Start. Well, that didn't work. Options. Apparently, turning that on broke things. Let's just turn off CPU. So USB and memory. Oh, what is this era? NUMA needs to be enabled for hot plug memory. Got it. I guess we don't have NUMA on this. Oh well, womp womp. All right, found this device doesn't support that. Are you trying to build a multi-tenant, like you're trying to be a hosting provider? It says what you should use depends on what your goal is. Yep, someone pointed it out. So I like it when I'm looking at the screen, I can't see the comments, and I know there's always people will be pointing things like that out, which is fine. I should switch back to the screen more. So there's definitely people who know more about Proxmox in the chat here than Tom does. But the other thing I'll talk about for XCP-ng is this one here. Like, obviously, I have a lot of VMs in here. There's not many running. There's actually only one running right now. So I was shutting stuff off. So you see I've got, I don't know, 28 virtual machines in here for various reasons. And if you have those virtual machines running, what you'll run into is you may have to do some maintenance on one of your many storage servers. Remember back, if you look at storage, we have this lab one, lab local storage. But what if you wanted to maintenance your storage? One of the things you can do that's pretty slick, and this is something I thought was just awesome, and this is especially when you have a dozen VMs, you can enable maintenance mode. And it finds all the VMs that are attached to it that might be running that you can turn on or off to enable maintenance mode. And we can just hit, OK. It'll shut down all those VMs. and it'll allow me to do maintenance on my storage server. Now, I could just move all of them off of this as well. That's another option. I could just move them to another storage server, and away you go. I also like that you can tag all of your different storage servers. Matter of fact, I have fewer of them right now, but whenever testing stuff comes in, when I'm testing other Synology storage servers or other, just in general, when I want to do any type of storage testing, that's where I start really adding a bunch of them in here. And it's just nice because it makes it really dynamic to move them around, shuffle things wherever you want them to be shuffled, and boom, and you can just migrate them over, or shut them all down without having to hunt them down. Actually, let me switch over to my production system and I'll show you, because I think there's probably more running on there. So we'll go to the storage server here, production NFS, advanced, and then I've only got 3 on this one. But it'll let me know each one of these. Whoop, wrong. Share this tab. It'll let me know each one of these that would be shut down for maintenance mode. And I could actually choose instead not to shut them down or move them somewhere else. I could just migrate them. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do maintenance on that. This one was one of the ones running on there. So I can just take and move the storage to any one of the other storages that are available in it. It's just a click away to do that. To me, that's what makes it so simple. Do you use Active Directory for users in CNWR? Yes, we do. Active Directory versus the Zentel server. I can't remember. Is Zentel the one does that even get updates anymore? But AD is way more extensive than the Samba versions of AD. All those other third-party tools are running Samba to emulate AD, but they're not going to emulate full Active Directory. They're going to emulate portions of Active Directory, so you can't even compare them. They're not full featured. It's not a matter of not telling you not to use them. It's more a matter of like, will they fit your use case? Is your use case, I just want to manage a couple of users? Great. But do you have extensible AD functions you want to use? Well, it'll fall flat on that. I just set up a Proxmox on a Practelli box to do virtual edge. Now I think I'm going to swap it XCP-ng. Zental has a developer branch. Is there still getting updates? That's what I was wondering. Because when I looked at their site, news, just 2021 was the last update from their site. So, I mean, I see they still have free trial and things like that, but it feels like it's not getting updates anymore. I mean, I could be wrong. Download. Zental 7 change logs. The change logs show last update of January of 2021. Yeah, 2 years without a new version makes me kind of feel like they're not really keeping up with the times, but maybe I'm wrong. Is Azure a replacement for the Active Directory? Nope. Azure's not a replacement. As a matter of fact, they don't call it Azure AD anymore. They call it Entra ID because Microsoft changed the name of it. It's not a replacement. It's just a cloud version of it. I guess you can kind of say it in some ways, maybe it's a replacement because it's just a cloud version of it. And that's where Microsoft wants you to go. Pay a subscription to our cloud. We'll hold your data and we'll charge you monthly for it. And we'll charge you more next month for it and more the next month after that. Will we provide more features? Probably not. Will we provide better security? Maybe, but that's on our own terms and only after we're publicly shamed into doing something securely. That's kind of like how I feel about Microsoft. They're just the biggest game in town, so they can be really lackadaisical on things because what are you going to do? Not use them? Everybody integrates with them. This is the challenge with them. They're so big and lack competition. So, Any update on the 404 stream? Pretty soon. It's not tonight. I will not make it. I can tell you that. I can definitely go an hour. I can maybe go 2 hours. I don't know that I'm going 4 hours tonight on this. We don't have to care. We're the phone company. Yeah. Yeah, and there's still, and you tie on your, as someone are pointing out here, you tie your Entra ID to your on-prem AD. It's a mess. I don't know. And like people said, it can, you know, uh, can do almost what GPOs could do now. Yes, it's just a mess though. The whole thing is, I don't know. It feels so cobbled together. We have to use it. It's just, we have to support it. But the good news is, it's not my job to support it. We have a staff that supports it. Tom doesn't really spend any time dealing with Azure AD things, and nor do I want to. I just don't care enough. It's not where my passion lies at all. Yeah. My rant on the whole Microsoft losing their keys, there was just so many failures. I did that video because it was just, whoever wrote that write-up was just grinding their teeth. This has been fixed. This has been fixed. It's like, Microsoft, this disaster happened in 2023. Why aren't you signing keys in a hardware security module, an HSM? Why? Why are you not doing this? You can't just say we're too big to do it or we're too cheap to do it. I don't know what the answer is, but Microsoft's like fumbling around that led to them losing the signing key and that big compromise earlier this year. It's a face palming experience. And it's just because they just didn't put the time into doing what needs to be done, because someone in management said, well, I don't want to spend money on that. And you know how many customers Microsoft lost? This is the thing. You vote with your dollars, right? How many customers did Microsoft lose after losing a signing key and causing government breaches? You're talking about like a nation state stupidity level event here. And I say stupid. I know someone broke into them, and I try to always be respectful of the fact that when anyone gets hacked, you can't ever say they were asking for it. The reality is, they didn't lock the door with a good enough lock. You can't just shame them for that, because someone did indeed break into their stuff, do something malicious. But you can also say they're a company worth over $1 trillion who clearly has the resources to put forth this. And maybe one of the executives doesn't get his bigger yacht this year or his fourth home, whatever that compromise is, so they could actually do some real security. That's how I feel about Microsoft. HSMs for the code signing, because they lost the key for in there. Yeah, Steve Gibson talked about this too. Nobody's bonus was based on don't let our signing key get stolen. There's the problem. But Microsoft lost 0 customers. So nobody lost any money. They just had to go, and the PR people are going to be busy. That's PR people are having a bad day today. So yeah, this is why I don't know. I always rant about Microsoft because it's so Microsoft. What are you going to do though? But I don't know. Move on to other things, do things that are more fun or more interesting. That's how I feel. They do allow their marketing department to have too much clout. Microsoft at least reported U.S. officials say they're warned of a Chinese-owned Bitcoin mine in Wyoming. There's some really good people at Microsoft. It's the management I don't care for. There's some really smart technical people there, no doubts. The management, I'm less a fan of them. I'll say that. Oh, yes. The South Park Cable Company meme hits really hard. Yes, it does. Good evening. Well, it's actually it's kind of evening for you as well. You're, I think, 3. I can't remember if you're 3 or 4 hours behind, but how you doing, the bearded IT dad? Me and him have to do some talking about pfSense. And I was going to do something else, and I've already got distracted. What was I going to do? think it was the utility things I was talking about. Where was it? Where is that tool I'm looking for? There's one of the tools I wanted to talk about. Speedometer is one of them. That one's kind of neat. IP Traf, though, that's one I really wanted to talk about. Let's pull up IP Traf. We got to admit, BTOP looks cool. So let me pull up some connections here. There's no connections right now. I got to open one. So let's close this. There we go. This allows you to track each individual connection that comes in and lets you watch them. It's called IP Traf NG. It is. Oh, I'll put the thing in here of what I'm using. IP Traf NG. This app to install it, but it's kind of a neat tool because if you want to dive into some of the packet capturing and details, statistical breakdowns by packet size, it gives you a nice UI to start diving into and watching the traffic. And it also has a lot of filters in it, so you can actually configure it. Not here. There we go. Filters, ARP filters, no IP, IP, define a new filter or apply a filter. Edit filter. Then we add to the list here, IP address, wildcard mask. This is kind of cool. So you can start filtering down some of the connections you want to watch go back and forth. I've used this for all kinds of random troubleshooting problems that I've had with Linux servers that I'm remoted into. And you can start filtering for certain protocols or certain traffic and then watch that traffic exclusively. It's not, I mean, you can run the T-Shark, which is the terminal version of Wireshark as well. But I kind of like this because it was just the simplicity of some of these tools made it kind of cool to do this. And it's all just menu driven. So you can go through the menus and figure out what you want to looking for. Oops. Let's pull some data. You'll see the numbers go as I'm doing this. Matter of fact, let's go back to the connections page. So if we go back here. Then we're just doing some updates. I'm on another screen doing that, and you can see all the traffic go through. Now you can see the bytes that are being pulled. It gives you those little statistics on there for things. This is kind of a neat little tool, like I said, to play with in Linux. I'll make a whole video of all the little tools because they're fun. This is another one, byte monitor. So if you wanted to test different things and see where the data is going back and forth, this one, speedometer. There's all these little tools out there for Linux. They're just really nice. Thought about ditching my DL80 Thrive and G7 for small Ryzen boxes. Yes, that's a topic I want to kind of dive into. I'm working on and I've seen some of my friends doing this too, talking about budget home labs because power budgets are a thing. And some of these mini devices that I'm running this on are low power, good CPU as far as like your performance and everything else. I think these little mini PCs are going to start really killing off the used server market. It's not that there's going to be a zero need for the used server market, but for a lot of things, you're like, wow, I can build these lower cost systems that have, they're reasonably priced, I should say. They have a lot of compute power without a lot of wattage requirements, and they're kind of small and compact. So you can actually stuff a lot of them and build clusters out of them for redundancy. It's pretty cool. Forum needs a pinned post with all the cool tools. I don't necessarily have to pin the post, but yeah, there's um there's going to be a whole write up I'll do. So all I'll have a write up that accompanies the video that make it really easy. Oh, is there a Jeff Geerling in here? Oh yes. Ooh, Coral 5 Pi. I didn't even realize a wild Jeff had appeared. Organization's too big, been around too long. Management gets gets rotted in many levels. It's inevitable. Cory Doctorow coined this phrase as in the enshittification cycle. If you look up Cory Doctorow and shittification, he's got wonderful writing on companies that go through these cycles. And Jeff's completely right. He's spot on this. NTOP is another one. Any experience with Chasm for remote workspace? Debating if I should get a more powerful laptop, more powerful desktop so I can access it remotely when needed. Chasm's pretty cool. I mean, there's no doubt. I think it's really neat. I think there's main benefit is the used market for SMBs who want better hardware but can't afford the latest servers. Yeah, there's still, like I said, it's a non-zero amount of need, but yes. Let me pull up something real quick because I want to run some more data through this. I pulled this tool up and got distracted answering questions. We got to pull some data across here so this does something. I'm just running an iPerf test on it. So you can see the data going on there, stuff in the queues. Oh, I got the wrong interface here. Hold on. Really quit? Yes. You actually got to tell it which interface. So I want, what is ENX0? I'd have to do bmon. Well, actually, I can use the other tool as well for that. That's weird. Why is it? There, I had to run sudo. That's why. Derp. There. I can see the data going across on this one. Anyways, distracted. Too many things. I've been tearing my hair with NFS Prince on TrueNAS Core. Do you recommend using 3 or 4 client side all Linux systems? Use both basic file storage, VM, Docker storage. I think I'm using NFS v4 in all my systems. I can look real quick. Let's log into that server and find out. What is the NFS settings for this one? Actually, it's going to be under services. Yeah, I'm using V4. So I'm using V4 and it works fine. Thank you very much, Jordan. It is greatly appreciated. Always appreciate the donations. They do help out the channel. I buy a lot of the stuff myself. So I just bought 4 Dell R7525s with dual 64C, 128, 512 gigs of RAM for less than a single latest edition of the 7525. Yeah. Yeah, you can get some pretty good deals on these. Core, not scale. Yeah, this is core. I don't think I have any NFS currently running on scale. Maybe. Hold on. I have one. So let me look on one of my scale systems. One of them is currently running that. So we go here to services. This one runs NFS. I feel that it does. It does. Yep, this one's V4 as well. So my scale and my core systems are both V4. So yeah, V4, it works. I'm not having any problems with it. I'm not trying. Well, no, I actually will admit I had some trouble with Docker, but I did it differently. And it's just probably easier if I pull it up. How can I get this over to here to show? I talked about this in another video. And someone says I'm doing it wrong. And I said, that's fine. I don't think it's wrong. It works. You can mount window. There we go. While I could mount in my Docker container, have Docker managing the storage, I found that to be more of a headache. So my solution was, even though this is Graylog running with Docker, I have Docker just pointing at mount Graylogs, but that's actually an NFS mount handled by the operating system. So I basically farmed out to the operating system the mount because I was having dumb problems with Graylog or the Docker. I'm not a Docker expert. So rather than try to solve, and I found lots of people with dead ends and no answered questions about getting Docker to natively mount NFS. And when it doesn't work, what to do, no one seemed to have a clear answer on that. So I decided instead to have the OS mount it. Someone says, but you're cheating. And I'm like, cheating what? the OS mounts it perfectly with no issues at all. And then I told Docker just to use that as a mount point. So you make sure this is started and then Docker starts and then you're done. So that's my, as I was told, wrong workaround. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, that's a way to do it. Since I got this pulled up, I think it looks better when I do it this way. So we can exit. Actually, if I do this, does that show up here? Yes, it does. Cool. What is the other tool I was going to talk about? I forgot what it was. I got to make a little list of them. I'm looking over. I have some scribbles. None of the actual scribbles are actually all typed. Me and Jay talked about this one. I guess that wasn't installed. Oh, but this is nice for doing all your directory sizes and things like that when you're trying to sort out what's in each directory to figure out where the data is. This is just NCDU. What does LTS stand for? Always makes you think of LTX from Last Tech Tips. Lawrence Technology Services. I wasn't clever and I named my company my last name. Oh, you did yours the same way. So you did yours like me. So I'm not sure what permissions problems you're having. My only gripe with XCP backup is it doesn't record the VM's hard drive regardless of the SR status. You lose your... Oh, you're talking about like if you... These backups. Let me pull this up. Are you referring to the metadata backups? So if we did I got to share a different screen. If you did a metadata backup, I think is what you're talking about. Yeah, you're right. If you do a metadata backup and restore, you have to update the local storage. That's correct. I thought about asking about writing a script that fixes that, because your local storage is signed a UUID. So you reload it and you want to restore the metadata, you just have to know the UUID. So you can just swap the storage. So if you copy it and then swap it and remount it that way, it'll actually work. But there should be a restore process that lets you swap the UUID. That's all. It's not that, I don't know. It's not clear, I guess, if you didn't know that. I updated my home pfSense to 271. It's working great. I had to change DHCP to Kia. Anything else to do in the 0.1 update yet? They do have some patches you can check, but no, I don't. I think you're good on that. Do load the patch manager. If you haven't seen it, I did a video on this, and I think this was just a genius idea. It makes it easier to load patches. But if you go to the patch manager, let me switch screens again. You just apply all the patches. So you can add a new one if there's custom, but you can revert them all or apply all. I've applied them all already, but this is just the patch manager plugin. So do that and you're good. If there's none in there, don't worry about it. I don't know what's in the 2.71 to see if there's any patches. There's going to some Docker containers try to CH files was giving a valid argument. I need to rewatch your permissions video for the 10th time. Do I still use Pop! OS as my daily driver? Sure do. LTS, long-term support. Yes. At LTS, we provide you with long-term support for your problems. That's a good selling point. I use NCD to find what container is sucking up all the storage. Yep. Do you run your own DHCP servers in lab? I run pfSense in my lab, which does that. I always prefer it as an appliance, but we do run a pfSense in virtualized, so we can do different things with it. So I like having a virtual one. I don't like them as much in production. They're always, I don't know. It's just not my preference. So you can definitely, you can virtualize it. It does work fine, provided you set it up properly. But you're going to run into, I don't know. You're just going to run into some more quirkiness with it than you would otherwise. But I've got a video on it. There's documentation on how to set it up. So I much prefer hardware. Also, when you have to restart your hypervisor, you're not worried about, you can build hypervisors in HA, so you don't have to worry about it. But restarting your hypervisor means restarting your pfSense. Unless you have another system to send it to, and then you could just migrate it over, and that's definitely a possibility. Does your lab have its own netgate? Yes. Yeah, we so you think I have a lot of Synology. Someone said that. I have a lot of netgates too. I think you said how many Synologies do you have? Also, the question is, how many netgates do you have? We have a handful of them. We stock them for our clients, but I plug them in to make sure they're up to date. So there's right now, because I brought it home to do some testing with it, there's a 6100 sitting over there. LTS does LTS. We'll go with that. Virtual pfSense for east-west traffic in a virtual cluster? Absolutely. You can use it for that too. Playing and testing are the only times I would do it as a VM. Hey, I've had too many PCs around for that. It's just easy. It's not that expensive in a production environment. You know what it costs to run one. Um, it's not the big expense. So just stick it hardware and be done with it. It's just more trouble. It's less trouble. I'm always looking for the least amount of trouble. Well, depends. But for the most part, I'm usually looking for the least amount of trouble on these things. I should patch this. Should we just patch a server live? We can do that too. I don't think there's anything else running on this server. So it does have an update. This update completely doesn't apply to me, but we can load it. This is the microcode update for Intel, and this is a Ryzen system. We were talking about patching the other day, and I got to admit, patching has been super, super smooth on the this way patching is done is so smooth. And I'm going to probably curse myself by saying that for XCP-ng patching, but hey, why not? We'll do it on a live stream, because you can't say patching smooth unless you actually patch something on a live stream where it's most likely to screw up. So make sure we got no running VMs. It'll shut them down anyways, but I'll look for power state running. I got them all stopped. And we can just load these patches. I don't even know if we have to reboot for this patch. And there's two ways we can do this. I can log into it. Maybe I should do that. So you can click the button and patch, or you can go here and just hit install update. I guess we'll install the pool update. Automatically restart toolstack and rehost, restart VMs. Sure, we'll just do it on a live stream and see if we can make a liar out of Tom. What's the best why to run netgate and HA if you only have one internet connection? All you're protecting yourself from is the hardware failure if you run an HA. I mean, if you run a high availability, you're protecting yourself from the hardware failing. What's your risk for that? If you're running netgate hardware, it fails so rarely that, yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel it's that big of a deal. It's a good to have, but it's not necessary for everyone. You know, how long can you tolerate being down? That's the question. And you decide if your downtime warrants buying two of them. It's called risk tolerance. And budget's really what that's called. Do you have the budget to run two? Because if you have the budget for redundancy, always go with redundancy, but you don't always have the budget to buy two of the thing. Because while you're speculating if you should buy one of the things, you then got to decide if you should buy two of the thing. We got hit by the latest Synology patch that broke NFS in our production. So I don't know. I don't usually use Synology for NFS. I should probably test that. I was just loading the patches for Synology, but I don't really think we even have that many customers that do that. Hey, look, it's back. That didn't take long. Oh, it says I have to reboot it still. So it patched. So let's reboot. That's the ultimate test now, right? Isn't it? We patched it. There's the CPU usage on the patch, but let's reboot it now. All right, that's restarting. Because it's not about the patch. It's about, did the system fully cycle after a patch without going crazy or exploding. Oh, it's fixed now. So there's a okay. It was a temporary bug. How hard is this done with one? Well, if you mean start with one and add HA later, that's easy. We've done in place conversions for clients. It's not like you really have to do much in terms of like as long as you have a system, I should say, that has enough ports, because you want to have a sync port between them, and that sync port should be dedicated. So as long as you have, let's say we have 4 ports on our system and you're not using all 4 because you're going, hey, I'm leaving one of these ports open, so when I buy another one, I will sync them together. Then you're fine. Yeah, I think what they were saying is they want to add an HA later. I recently set up VMs on 2 different hypervisors, EXSI and Proxmox, mainly for updating ability, vuln protection. I have a Cisco router outside the firewalls, the ISP connection. I mean, you can do all kinds of fun things. Have you messed around with the new Linux tools in Rust? You know, that's on my to-do list, was to try them out. When this thing reboots, we'll try that. But it hasn't rebooted yet. Following my Synology question, if I had some kind of update break on TrueNAS scale, patch, other fast rollbacks. Oh yeah, TrueNAS scale, TrueNAS in general, both scale and the core support the boot slices. And one of the things you may notice here, 2310, 2312. Yes, I installed 2310, but then reverted back to this. If I want to go back to the other one, I could just activate this one, but they support boot environments. This allows you to flip flop back and forth. The upgrade on this particular server, I will do a video as soon as I'm done migrating it. This server did not like the upgrade because the way my system is set up is incompatible with the new version of Cobia, the way I want to run it. I have a video upcoming on this. This is actually what I was working on, is swapping all these servers, because I'm moving everything to a new server. Let me log into it. So this server is running, still running 22.12.3, and this one is now running the newer 23.10. So this is Cobia, and I migrated all my data over to this one because there's no path. There's no path to upgrade my other one because of the way the encryption is set up. Looking to upgrade my network because I want to run NetGate and HA. I was going to buy one NetGate and set up, and then 6 months later. Yeah, as long as you buy the same one. The important part is when you have the NetGates, buy 2 of the same ones and you're fine. HA is easy with 2 of the same devices. HA is not impossible, but going to be less fun to set up if you're using, if you're not in a, like if you have mismatched hardware. There's a hacky ways to make it work, but it's not an idea. By the way, the system came up. Oh, and so did I forgot I had a lot of these VMs set to auto start. So now all the things are auto starting. So some of the staff things are, so once again, I patched it live on a live stream. Yeah, I was going to try for boot environments are what makes that so easy. HA requires 3 public IPs. Well, yes, but you can make it work. There are guides, there are ways to get it working. You may even have to do some things manually, but yes, to do it properly, 3 public IPs. We've seen people not have it set up like that. There's some guides on how to set it up without having all the public IPs. So there's ways to do it. It's just I don't know if I'll do a video on it. There's documents on it though. Does XCP-ng have inherent issues running on Ryzen processors? No, all my production stuff runs on Ryzen. So this is my lab stuff, which is the same host, but these are Ryzen. Where's it at? Ryzen 9 system. So works fine. Any recommended way to have Active Directory integrated in VPN and pfSense for remote Windows endpoint so VM doesn't seem to work seamlessly as the separate app? It works fine if you know how to set it up. That's why I can describe it. I don't have any guides on it, but we set up a lot for people. So you just tie your OpenVPN to it's not like a drop-in Active Directory. You got to tie it to something like LDAP or Radius, but it can be done. We've actually set that up for a lot of people. I think there's a write-up even on pfSense, like on Netgate has documentation, I believe, in how to set that up. If you're looking for something that's like a drop-in, I think Untangle, you can just drop in your. It's been a while since I've used Untangle, but in Untangle, you could just drop in like your Active Directory connector, and they built an AD connector that automates it. It's less automated in pfSense, but completely possible to do. I think we actually set up one customer to authenticate against Google as well. You can tie it to the Google Cloud and have it authenticate users that way. Is Active Directory worth adding to my Homelab network? Do you need it? Do you need user management? I do not ever plan to put Active Directory in my home network. I don't need it. I don't but my job doesn't require me to. That's not where my expertise is. Like I know enough about Active Directory to service things, but I don't care to learn more than the basics that I know. But if your job was to understand group policies and understand the ins and outs of Active Directory, it's probably a good thing to have in your lab because you can do a lot of learning with it. So did that, but was looking for it to work with local AD when the user signed in. Oh, for them to do that? OpenVPN is probably not the best VPN for that. Things like Tailscale are probably better. The downside of using like Tailscale is going to be the users are always connected. But if that's what you're trying to do is an always on VPN, OpenVPN is more of a you chose to connect style VPN. Tailscale is a always on VPN. And if you want an always on VPN, and that's what you're trying to make it do, then you can do that. There's actually a way to do it in OpenVPN too. You can force it to save all the credentials and have it log in on startup. But I don't know, is it worth the security risk of it? Because the moment is the challenge here. Once you do that, if someone steals that information, they will be able to grab and auto log in with the OpenVPN as well. So I like OpenVPN because it forces the user to type in a password to, log into something versus if it's a save session and someone grabs the save session, they can then exfiltrate it. Yeah, there's definitely, if you're starting out now, definitely run 8.3. 8.3 works better with Ryzen's, and 8.3 has better support for the Intel 226 drivers. Untangle got bought out. It's not really called Untangle anymore. Yes, it's still Untangle everywhere. They call it Arista Edge. So you're right. I know they call it Edge Threat Management, but everything about it still says Untangle. Like even so much of the dashboard and everything says Untangle. I think the documentation says Untangle still. Trying to find if they fixed any of this. This is in like right here. This is from Arista. It says Arista, but it says Arista Untangle, but even the install guide hasn't been changed. Yeah, they redid the wiki at least. But even their wiki, here's all the screenshots that say Untangle. So it's Untangle to me still. It's going to take them a long time to get that fixed. Shout out to Tom. Started listening to SLR many years ago. Glad to see you're still doing well, digging the live shows. Awesome. Yeah, because the Sophos thing used to be a stereo desktop. Free PBX is dying. That's all there is to it. Free PBX is dying a slow death. I don't think it's long for this world. I don't think they care, and they won't release it to someone else to update. We've gotten away from it completely. It's just too much trouble to support, and very much a security risk because they aren't patching the flaws very well at all. So it's a security problem. It's out of date, and it's not getting any love to get it up to date. So I have an older 2-core machine with hyperthreading. Can I install a hypervisor and 3 or 4 VMs? You're going to be pretty limited on that with only a 2-core system. Will it work? Yes. Will it work well? Probably not. That's the downside. Functioning well all depends on your workloads. And I bring that up because I might retire this system. I don't know what to do with it if I retire it. But it might be reaching. I will use the drives in it because the drives are fine. It's not the drives that are the problem. But let's look this up real quick. I have a system with 8 gigs of RAM here, and it runs. I need to update to the newest version, so feel free to call me out on not being the latest, but I'm not using any shares on it. All this is a storage server, and it just holds data. And it's only a 2-core system, so it's running a Intel Atom. What is this thing? Let me pull it up on CPU Mark. It's just a sad processor. I've had it for years. This machine has been running forever. And I'm like, yeah, I should probably do something with it. But here's what it scores. I mean, look at this. This is a sad CPU score, but it works as a storage server. It's just painfully slow. There's nothing else I can do about it other than say it's really, really painfully slow. I was wrong. Yeah, PBX, not so good, but 3CX is pretty good. So use it. The CEO of 3CX is not a pleasant person. He's just kind of that whole breach they had, man. What a series of dumb that was going on over there. Their breach earlier this year was a mess. Hello from Australia. So glad to finally get you online for a stream, rebuilding my pfSense after a boot failure. Hey, good luck with that. Sorry, I'm yawning a little bit. Rebuilding after a boot failure. That's definitely a lot of fun. I've had to do that before, but people always call us at their worst days. You know, the one redeeming quality of this particular processor though is the fact that it's only using 8 watts. So for a storage server, it works. Yeah, John Hammond, I think, did some good coverage of that. You know, I should go to, and while we're playing around with things, I haven't tried loading these yet. So let's, someone had asked earlier about the new tools for running guest utilities. So they have the install right here. So I can always go in and install it on that server we were playing with earlier. Let's see how they work. Firing up the server, and we'll do this. How many drives are in that storage server? Well, let me pull that word. Too many tabs again. There we go. This has only 4 drives in it. It's got about 30 terabytes of data. 30 terabytes, I think it was. Yes, I'm still running Pop! OS. A few people have asked me that. Pop! OS works great. All NVMe home NAS. Probably not needed. But let's load these Rust drivers. Whoops, I fired up the wrong server. Actually started my Windows server. I'll leave it running so it gets some updates. This is a server I wanted to fire up. What would I do with it? I don't know what I would do with it. It comes down to what project do you want to do? That's my problem. I usually have too many projects going on. Figuring out how I want to test all these things is always challenging. But let's load some drivers on this. So I'm waiting for the network to start up. Yay. But I want to go grab a drink. So what I'll do is go grab something here in a second. My Protectelli. I have a hard time saying that word. I always want to say, well, I say protect. It's Protectly. Protectly pfSense also died once the replacement Protectly device arrived. Restoring the config was a breeze. Although my old one was 1 gig, replacement is 2.5 gig. Yeah, a lot of the things are shipping with a 2.5 gig now. The old machine uses 25 watts. I'm going to replace it with a Dell R420 that draws 100 watts running pfSense. I put the hypervisor on 2.7 pi hole and some only internet things. Yeah, the thing is just a lot of figuring out the wattage is challenging because it's becoming a bigger and bigger deal for sure. Lining up interfaces in pfSense is actually pretty easy to do, but I'm going to go grab another drink because I'm out of a drink and my mouth is getting dry. Also have a little bit of water left. I have a thing that spins that you can watch while I go do that. So I will be back. It's the I'll be back things. I'll answer this paid question first. Thanks for all your XCP-ng videos. Helped a bunch migrating my clouds from over to XCP-ng. That is awesome. Really, really happy to hear more people using it. I think it's just an awesome product. More Jack. Yeah, Jack will help. It'll help me untwist my tongue, if you will, so I can say words better and more concisely. That's the goal. Intel N100 and 95 CPUs are nice little bees. Yeah, there's a lot of these newer small CPUs. I mean, I'm excited. I'll be reviewing this. This is the next thing I got to test. And Patrick from Serve the Home has already tested it. This is the R86. If you type in R86 Serve the Home, you'll find videos on it that he's done. But I think these low power devices are they're pretty cool. Yeah, say Protectly 10 times real fast. I can barely get it out twice in one sentence. So 10 times real fast, not happening. Not happening. But let me play my little, where'd it go? Be right back. So I'll be right back. There we go. In all the comments. Update the data in the browser. Oh, I have to re-render the video to do that. Yes, thank you for XCP-ng content. We're replacing 2 VMware clusters with XCP-ng. Best part is we can actually get a human on the phone for support at Vates. Yes. I have no opinions on FiberStore gear. I haven't used it, so no opinions. How is the US the third most attacked? I don't know. That's all from Kaspersky, I think. Can you write down the name of the mini PC in chat? I think someone answered it, but I'll actually just pull up the. It's the R86, 2.5 gig and 10 gig networking. I don't know if we're going to update the UniFi Excel sheet or not. It's too much work. So I don't know. I might remove it rather than update it. It's just too much time. And I don't have enough people to pay just to sit and update that sheet. I wish UniFi was more clear on their stuff, but yeah. That's definitely a challenge of keeping that up to date. Like it started out as a good idea and just fell apart from there. We were talking about though, doing this. So let me switch back over to the terminal. Share the other terminal, present. Then I can cool. Now I have the latest utilities on this. See if that does anything. Couldn't that sheet be maintained through public repos? That's the problem. UniFi doesn't have this information. Like you have to pull it from everywhere to get this information out there. It's like you dig around to find it. And why UniFi themselves doesn't have a clear, concise sheet for all their stuff is beyond me. Like that would solve it, but that's the problem. You have to go find it on UniFi's stuff. So there was the whole install process I showed. I will present, share screen. Actually, we'll restart it just so we rebooted this machine. Make sure everything's, cleared out. What is the name of the Apple called glasses? The package name? I'm missing some context here. Ooh, look at this. Management detected. So it does detect it. We're running on the latest version. Neat. I don't know what else it gives me. I haven't really dug through all the features in it. I just was loading it to load it. The thing I heard someone say was it switches faster for this. So let's go ahead and... How fast does it switch? Ooh, that was fast. So it changes IPs really fast. Actually, it's accumulating them at the moment. Find another VLAN to send it to. Send it to this VLAN. Okay, I think I found a bug. We have a lot of IPs now. How long before the IPs disappear? So we get the new IP immediately, but the old ones are still showing up. I'll show this to Oliver. Say, it works, but also this. So that's the thing. Now I have all the IPs. I guess I'll reboot real quick. I bet that'll make them all go away. The new UniFi site is so much harder to find info on them than, yeah. And this is the problem. Like I said, when we were doing the spreadsheet, we started putting together to make sense of it all. But getting that data is spending a lot of time on the UniFi site to try to make the data in one place. It's a UI bug. I like to play on words for that. Yes, it's a UI bug. Yeah, if you reboot all these, go back to normal. But if you switch VLANs, how long do they stay? Forever? I don't know. That's interesting to me. I imagine if I restarted the service, they would, but so there's definitely, I mean, they're bugs that got to be fixed. You cannot post links here. Yeah, YouTube bans links and because of spammers and scammers. Oh, speaking of that, I don't know. Can I share this? Yes, I can. I finally added this because people were driving me nuts. I put a thing on here though that says denied because people keep asking about trying to use those stupid anonymous email services. Yeah, I'm just denying all those now. Too much spam. Like I want people to be able to do things privately, but I haven't found the balance between stopping the people who post garbage links on my site to stupid things and allowing people to, you just have to use your email address when you're signing up now. It's been one of those things. Like I put it on there. Just quit using all those different anonymous email, like pass mail, and there's a bunch of them out there. But yeah, someone got mad at me and DM'd me on Twitter that they said I don't care about privacy, and I'm like, solve the spam problem for me. I'll respect your. I don't care if you use an anonymous mailer, but the spammers use them too. So I don't have a solution. That's one thing I give Vates, Oliver and his team. Listen to users. They're implementing some recommendations based on issues we had, which is reassuring. They're very much listen to the users. So, yeah, very engaged with the community. I'm itching for the new V7 XOA UI. Me too. Speaking of spreadsheets, Advanced 6 was speed test plugin for pfSense using cron to get your log results. Nope, never tried it. Not something I don't do regular speed tests, so they're not something I really care about. I only care when there's a problem, and I don't do regular ones to make sure that I'm getting whatever. And I probably wouldn't use pfSense for it. if I were to do it, there's command line utilities that will run speed tests. Here to evaluate SBOM, software build cheers. Any thoughts on them becoming more of a security methodology standard? It's a pipe dream. I feel it's unfortunate. I wish they were a realistic solution, but they're a very difficult solution. I'm all for them, but I know the challenges that come with them. And modern software development sucks. There's so many programmers today, and this is a discussion that came up when the WebP vulnerability came up. There were so many places you found WebP that it shouldn't have been. There's no path to code execution, so it wasn't really a vulnerability. But there was all these people who just baked in WebP with everything because they just threw in every dependency. And I think that's going to be the problem with software bill of materials. You're like, oh, look, this software has a dependency that's got a vulnerability in it, but they don't use the dependency. They included the dependency, but don't use the dependency. Yeah. It's a pain. I do like the Traverse City whiskey. They make excellent stuff. I definitely thumbs up for Traverse City whiskey. Been using Docker packages that run a speed test, set frequency. Been helpful when having internet issues. It's not that often. Yeah, if you're having an issue, maybe, but I wouldn't run them all the time. You're just wasting a lot of bandwidth just to constantly test it. SBOMs won't catch on until companies won't have some code that Bob's nephew wrote in 1997. Oh, but it's much worse than that. We're talking about modern products that we found that have all kinds of garbage baked into them that they don't need for the product. They've just included entire large frameworks that they didn't need, especially with all the stuff that's built on Electron. So the problem isn't even the old software. The problem is the new software too, and the way they develop it. It's all the dependencies. You look at something like Node.js or some of those, a lot of dependencies there. Do you start listing all of them? Is it a tenable thing to include that in your SBOM and actually think it's effective? I don't know. It's not going to be easy. I'm all for it, but we have to look at the ecosystem of how things are done. So, yeah. I'm a programmer and I totally agree with you on that. I'm assuming you're talking about the challenge with the SBOM. This is actually what's so interesting when I've talked to developers that work at Netgate. The Netgate developers practice principles of least privilege, this wonderful security idea that's been around for a long time. You'll find people ask, well, how did pfSense go for so long without a security vulnerability? How do they manage that? Well, they don't throw everything in. They don't throw everything that's available in BSD into pfSense. They go, what does pfSense need to run? And then they go at compile time because they're building this. What do we need to include in our compile? Okay, that's it. What do we need? And we build from there, not go, hey, grab FreeBSD and build. Well, we don't really need all these other features. Just get them all. That way, if we ever have it, we don't have to sort out dependency problems that way. We'll just have all the dependencies in here, even the ones we're not using. And hey, you have a good night too, Stephen. So have a good evening. Because I'm not going to get another glass of whiskey because some people may have noticed me yawning. So, of note, I'm going to post this to Oliver in the forums. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm going to do it tomorrow. It's been about 5 or 6 minutes. Those IPs are still there. So good news, it switches right away. Bad news, it stays. So when you switch it, it stays where you left it. We'll put it back at the lab one. If we put it back at lab, does the other one disappear? Nope. Oh, this is fun. We got 2 of them now. It gets better. But we can just reboot and they go away. I'm laughing at this. I'm switching VLANs. I can guarantee none of these are pingable. What I'll do is we'll do this again. I rebooted it. So we'll get an IP address here. It does get the IP address faster, so we can say IPA, and we'll see there's the IP address that we have on here. So let's go ahead and switch this. We'll put it on this network. Go back over to console. Yep, the IP address changed. So now we have the 100 address on here. I know it might be kind of hard to see. Let me zoom in a little bit. So now we switched addresses, so I can guarantee it's not pingable, but the system is still holding on to them. That's all. Thank you for your HA proxy video. pfSense helped me out today. Awesome. Glad to get more people in it. Does it actually have those IPs? Yeah, these are the IPs it's getting. It's just not releasing them in the UI. It's a UI bug. They're being released, as you can see. Here's the IP address. Here's the IP address here. So it's definitely switching the IPs. As a matter of fact, we can switch it back. We'll go back over here. Go to network. I'll put it back in the lab. So we're back on the lab network. And we go, and we're back on that 135 address. So it's switching the IPs perfectly fine. Does it update the Windows driver in XCP-ng, or have you updated that? No, I haven't messed with the Windows driver. Page refresh clear them? No, it does not. Nope. The pages are dynamic. Matter of fact, if you want to see something kind of neat, so what I'm going to do here, this is the window I'm sharing with you. I'm going to open up another window as another user. The way the page refreshes work, watch. Do you notice how I can change them from another user that I just logged into over here? And they change dynamically. I don't have to refresh the page or anything. It's fine. Yeah, restarting the guest tools will definitely fix this. So I know restarting the guest tools will fix the problem, but you shouldn't have to restart the guest tools. I've been rebooting the server because I'm lazy and I don't know how to type in there, but that's why it's release candidate. This is how the process works. There's a post in a forum. We go in the forum. We set the things up. We talk about the problems that do or don't work. And then they find the bugs and then they fix them. As a matter of fact, let's see if someone does this. Can migrate, can snapshot, can reboot. Cool. So I will add a comment down to the bottom of this to tell them the little problem I'm running into. That's all. It's just, this is how we iterate on things and make them better. And by the way, this is not everybody's moving these things around between different places. So this is an uncommon use case. This is a Tom use case where I move things around in my lab all the time. This is not a everybody use case. So that's for sure. Just use the Citrix ones for right now. The Citrix ones are kind of what I've been using for my Windows stuff. I can go here. So this right here is my Windows one, and it just has the Citrix tools in it. Oh, and some more updates to load. See, I've loaded the Citrix tools right here for my Windows VM. Hyper VLANing, absolutely. That's the whole thing. Good night, John. You have a wonderful evening. But I got Windows updates now. Update and restart. Microsoft will never do FSPAM. There's at least one company that is going to say no. It just isn't going to happen. I would not expect Microsoft to do any of that. You know, as fast as this system is, Windows, man, can bring it to its knees for speed. It's like whatever Windows updates does, it's just never fast enough. I don't even know how much. It's not pulling too much on the disk. Microsoft's all about the F-bomb. You got that right. You nailed it there. They're not doing S-bomb. They're busy doing F-bombs. Well, we are, at least, every time we talk about Microsoft. Windows updates 30% complete. Don't turn off your computer. Yeah, I spend some time in the XCP-ng forums. I try to go here at least once a day to talk to people, things like that. You do not need a Citrix account to get the Citrix tools. They're a free download. They used to require an account. I forget where. There's a link posted, and I can't remember what it is. There's a Citrix download link where you can just download the tools. It's weird because you would assume they if you search them, they put them behind a paywall. But if you go to the Citrix, they have like a download page where they're not behind a paywall. I just can't remember where those are. I'm gonna find it real quick. But there's a page that doesn't require a download where you can just grab all the tools. Yeah, this is the page. I'm on the page. This is the one you usually land on because this is the first Google search. There's another one, though. It's in the forums where you don't have to do it. It's stupid because they've tried to, like, I don't know. I don't like Citrix. They're an awful company. I know if you look in here, it's in here somewhere. There we go. This site. This site has them for free, but if you search, you land on the paywall site, or not paywall, stupid login you have to create. So I just shared the link to it. This is where you can get them. It's just zenserver.com/downloads. You can download the stupid drivers. I don't know why they did this. There we go. This is stuck. I can't get the comment to go away. Hold on, I'll reload the page. or not. I think Chrome has broke. There we go. Turns out StreamYard had some issues. My internet didn't go out, just I couldn't do anything with StreamYard. It got stuck. Yeah, actually. Hmm. Yep. So strange. Now it's working. StreamYard just like stopped for a moment. That's StreamYard is a tool I use to do these broadcasts. It just came to a halt. Now it's working fine. So weird. Strange things happen. Don't know what causes that. But hey, at least I shared the Citrix downloads for people who are looking for it. They're in the forums, like I said. So what made me pick Discourse over others? I could self-host it and it seemed easy enough to set up. I didn't really have any deeper thoughts beyond that. Yeah, let's see. I'll pull up my forums real quick. It's Discourse just works well. It's easy, and I don't know. The self-hosting makes it, pretty pain-free to do too. It was a matter of time before Citrix starts blocking baits or making server. No, it's not. The opposite. They're actually cooperating more. Citrix isn't really pushing their hypervisor as much anymore. And most of the people who run Citrix also run XCP-ng, so they've kind of become this uneasy relationship. So I don't think it's they're not they don't really have any control over Vates. The only thing Vates doesn't really do is bother rating the Windows drivers right now. So they're kind of relying on Citrix for that, but that's it. That's not much. Yeah, Discourse is just solid. It has been such a good platform. Like I really, really like it. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick. That doesn't I always make sure nothing's showing in the admin panel. But when you start looking at the stats that I have on here, there we go. I mean, it's just wild. We'll do quarterly. There was a lot going on in October. So we had 4,000 logged in users. Let me make this bigger. I think 4,000 logged in users, 127,000 anonymous users, and 38,000 hits from crawlers. And so far here in like this is quarterly. So yeah, the stats are pretty good. I mean, I'm happy with the engagement I get with my forums. And it's a lot of the SEO is really good because I try to push people constantly to ask the questions in my forums. People like to DM me questions, and I'm like, I just don't have the time to answer all the DMs. It's just not something I can do, especially when you talk about the thousands of people asking the same question. So by the forums, I'm able to post the answer. So when people search for the question, the problem they're having with something, they can find the answer in the forums. So that's one of the reasons I do it. How many AIs am I training? I have no idea. Probably a lot of them. Maybe I'll dig into that to see if it tells me it's an AI system that's crawling it, which I'm sure it is. I'm guessing this is on Linode or something. How big of an instance do you have to use a forum this big? It's actually a really small instance. Let me see if I can log into it real quick and show you. Well, I'll just tell you the stats for what it is. This is a dual core system with dual core, and how much RAM is in here? 4 gigs of RAM. It really doesn't take much. That's what blows my mind, is how little it takes to run this. It's all just a series of Docker containers. So yeah, a small dual core system is enough to keep it all running. Favorite method of dust? I have no favorite method because I hate dusting and cleaning stuff. But mostly I just blow it out with a, here. I think everyone uses this, right? The same one. I don't know about favorite method, but it's and all of us do this, right? Matter of fact, let's there, I'm blowing the lens off real quick. There we go. I've now dusted the lens. Yeah, no, I'm not letting people upload files. Are your public sites proxied or direct IP or on web servers? It depends. The forums is direct. I don't have a proxy in front of it. I might switch it though. Yeah, Mortem from my playhouse was frustrated with Citrix. He didn't say if he needed any super exclusive things only Citrix provides, so maybe XCP-ng and Vates are on this list of future options. Yeah. Leaf blower. I have a compressor for big things, but leaf blower will work too. We can that's tenable. I tell people not to post screenshots and stuff like that as often. That's been like, just post the text of what you want. 99% of what's in my forums is text. The problem is, and I tell people this, when you start posting screenshots, I mean, storage, I have a lot of it, so I can easily up the storage if I need to. But the bigger challenge really comes down to dealing with the fact that that's not indexed very well for people to find the problem. So posting screenshots of it, just explain things better, put text in there, post config files. That's a way better way to post in forums always, not just mine, all forums. I've debated about stopping people from uploading images, so it forces them to stop sharing so many screenshots of silly things. Like, someone shared the other day some screenshots, and I'm like, this is not even helpful. You're just taking blurry pictures with your phone to show me an error message. Like, just type the error message. Matter of fact, you're taking a blurry picture of your phone from your web browser. Just paste that error message in and tell me, what does this error message mean? Matter of fact, if you type that error message into Google, you'll find the answer. It's the first result. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm so close to just banning image posting. It's such a waste. It doesn't help anyone. It makes it harder for me, especially because more people are like, hold on, let me use my phone. I mean, someone took a web page, like, it's a web page. You're taking a photo of a web page. Just copy the error message in a web page and paste it in as text. It'll help you. Matter of fact, if they would have pasted that into the search engine, they would have found the answer right at the top to what they were trying to do. Yeah, what if I take a picture of my text? Yeah. Any update on the super micro GPU? I don't know when we're delivering. I got to figure out when we're delivering it. I got to go back down to Toledo and finish filming it. It's still in the office. So no update yet, because it didn't get delivered yet. I don't know when it gets delivered. I think next week I'll do that. Yes, lots of devices have OCR built in, which is also amazing. You can take your phone and take a picture and grab text out of the picture and then take the text and put it into a forum or Google. I almost like, I don't want to go this far, but part of me wants to sometimes. When you're posting in my forums, did you at least try posting in Google first or DuckDuckGo to see if that problem? Because some people ask, like, I've seen people who take the time to write things. If you look around, you'll see where it says author remove post. It's not me being a smartass to reply to them, but I'm like, this was like the answer to your question was the first search result of Google. Like what you typed, you could have typed less into Google and got the first search result to exactly what you were looking for. Um, I'm never harsh to people. I encourage people to learn, but I also like, man, just like Google a couple things before you do it. I also want to do a whole basic write-up. I'm modifying things slowly in the forums. But one of the things I think I need to do is like an explainer, how to write a good forum post, because that is a real challenge for some people is when they write forum posts that don't help a lot. They're so unclear about what their goal is. I always say, I don't understand your ask. That's sometimes I reply that way. Like, I don't understand your goal. I don't understand your ask. And, it no work is kind of like, I mean, I usually reply to those people. Hey, welcome to the forums. What don't work? And what are you trying to do? That's the challenge. Have ChatGPT evaluate new help wanted posts. Yes. That's actually a new feature that came with the latest update is the ability to use my ChatGPT API. Now, I want to train ChatGPT on my forums because there's thousands of posts in my forums. So if I can then index those thousands of posts, then I can figure out like, hey, uh, how can we you know, how can we use those thousands of posts I have to start the answer to the question better each time? It's a thought. It's a thought. It's a maybe thought. Where is I'm trying to see like activity wise summary. There we go. Like I have 5,000 posts created, 32,000 read. I've 2.3 thousand hearts received for my replies I've done on posts. So yes, there's a lot going on here. I've done all this, so why not index it and see what we can do? It doesn't work. So yeah, it's I'm assuming my forums are generally going to be more technical people. So when people start out with the most basic, it don't work, and I don't even know what the goal is. That's why I think like, what are you trying to do? Because sometimes you're like, hey, I can't get this working, or pfSense doesn't work. Well, what? That doesn't help me. pfSense doesn't work. I want to guide you along, but I don't know what it doesn't work means. You can't load it. You have trouble loading it. You loaded it and it doesn't route traffic. It loaded but doesn't have an IP address. Like, you got to give me a couple clues here. I'm trying to figure this out. Or when people tell me things are slow. Well, I tried XCP-ng, but it was slow. What was slow? The processor, the 10-year-old computer you loaded it on? Gonna need some context here. I'm always kind to the people in the forums. You can look through my posts; they're all public. But there is a certain level of like the back and forth. I'm like, I just don't understand what you're looking for. But that's life. Yeah. The most what software I use? Discourse is the name of the software I use. Not Discord, Discourse. The danger of ChatGPT is that humans still have validate answers. Yes, that's for sure. That is for sure. Well, I am sinking in my chair because I'm getting tired. So I think I will wander off and watch some TV and then fall asleep. That's well, I watch from YouTube. I say watch TV. So they have VM tools for Linux. I don't know when they're going to get them for Windows, but they got the Linux ones. As pointed out just a little bit earlier, and I've probably lost the post, you can use the Citrix tools at zenserver.com/download. So, do you think VMwug is worth it? Well, here's the thing. When it comes to VMware, if you have to support this, like you have your task, your job is understanding VMware, then yeah, it's probably good to know. If your job is not supporting VMware, then why use VMmug? Why use their ecosystem if it's just for your own use? Unless you just really like it and like paying the money, and that's fine too. That's a valid answer. You're used to the environment. You don't want to put the time in to learn something else. So perfect, use that one. But if your job isn't to use it and you're just not more comfortable with that interface or not willing to learn either Proxmox or XCP-ng, then I wouldn't spend the money on VMmug. Converting all my VMs from Proxmox to XCP-ng. Wish you luck. Oh, I do wish you luck. I hope you get them all converted. Clonezilla is your friend for moving things from where they are to where you want them to be. That is a great tool I've done videos on for that exact thing. But I'll stop this here. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone for hanging out with Tom while he kind of goofed and riffed on servers. Hopefully I answered plenty of questions, and it's always great engaging with the community. I will see you next time for sure on Thursday. Well, actually it's Turkey Day. I'll probably do a morning or something. I don't want to take away from people's Turkey Day. So I'll figure out what I'm going to do for vlog Turkey Day. I don't know what to do there. I'll figure out vlog Turkey Day because that's the next live stream I'm going to do. All right, everyone, and thanks.